Hello everyone, this is the Phenomenal Critic, otherwise known as Nick Smith, and last night I did my review of Piranha 3 Double D. A horrible abomination of a film. Now, as my stress level went up that night, I was thinking, what could I possibly do to erase this thing from my mind? Besides Voltage Mountain Dew, I had no idea. I also rented another movie. And I'm here to give my review, my thoughts on the best horror film since the original Nightmare on Elm Street, Sinister. Now, before going to the review, everyone who's going to be watching this is going to be like, oh, but you know what? Insidious was so much better. Oh, please. By the time I'm done with this review, you will think differently. So, what's so great about this movie? The story, the actors. It is awesome. The story involves this writer named Ellison, I forget his last name, but he is a writer on books. He's an author, and he doesn't just write horror flicks, horror things that he just thinks out of his mind. No, he actually writes books on crimes of people getting murdered. And the first book that he wrote was called Kentucky Blood, and it sold so much money, and he got rich, and he got talk shows, and he got everything. But his last two ones, when he's driving to, when they get to the new house, a sheriff is driving up. He's like, "Really? You got you exchanged a ticket for an autograph? You're stupid." So he goes up to him and he says, "Ma'am, is your husband home?" "Yeah." And he's like, "Hey, the sheriff's, what does he want, another autograph? Be nice this time." "Hey, I wasn't. I'm serious. Be nice this time." So he goes up there. He goes up and talks to him. "Hi, I'm whatever. I know who you are. What are you doing here?" "I'm moving here." "Well, take my advice. Pack your car up, leave this town, and never look back. Your theory in your last two books helped a criminal and a madman go free. The last two books that he wrote were not good at all. They bombshell. And one of them was so bad that his theory helped a criminal go free. So they're in the hole, and he says, "Okay, I've got to get this one great book. I have to get this book." So he moves into this house where there has been a bunch of murders. Only he moved into a house where there was murders, but he didn't know what the murders were about. So when he's unpacking the house, and he's packing his stuff up for his office, and his wife calls him a sissy for packing one book. He has a bunch of things in packing one box. He has a bunch of things in his office. I mean, this is one big office. I need a lot of that. So when he's packing stuff up, he's bringing boxes up to the attic, and he notices a scorpion. I was like, wow, that's doesn't that bring you back to the shows Infested? You know, like whenever they talked about families who moved in houses that were pretty freaking awesome, then they had a problem like rats, snakes, scorpions, whatever. So he smashes it, and then he notices this box, and it says home videos. And it's an old Super 8 camera, like how they did in the 1600s and stuff like that, or the 1960s. And so he looks at it, but they have their very first dinner in the house together, and she's like, "What are the rules in this house?" "Never go in Daddy's office." "And what's the other rule?" "Lock Daddy's office." So when everyone goes to bed, he says it's gonna be great here. Things are gonna be great. His wife is like, "Well, if things aren't good this time, if things are as bad as they were last time, I'm gonna pack up the kids, I'm gonna pack up the stuff, and I'm gonna go to my sister's." That fairy thought that's totally fair. And so he starts going to work while his wife goes to sleep. And he starts watching these films. The first film he watches is a film of there's four movies. There's 4 or 5 movies, if I'm correct. There's the first night he watches, which is the family hanging out, which is a family throwing football and just having a good time. But then all of a sudden things go bad when all of the family is hanging in a tree. Mom, the dad, the brother, the other brother, I think, and they're all hanging. Oh, and the cop said about, the reason why he moved into the house was because of the disappearance, the crime and a disappearance of a girl named Stephanie. And when he sees the hanging, he writes down on a notepad where he circles the girl in the picture that he has, and he says, "Where are you?" And so then he watches it, and then he says, "Where's Stephanie?" Then he watches the next one, which is Family Barbecue. And it's a family down fishing, and they're all having a good time. Then it cuts to night. They're in their car, chained up, drugged, taped up in the car, and there's a symbol on the trunk, and the family is being burned alive. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. This is going to be good. And as I was watching this, I was like, oh man, this is really going to scare me. I mean, I scare easy, but I'm getting better at it. But this was a great horror movie. I was like, oh man, I'm loving this. I'm definitely watching this again tomorrow. And, you know, I thought before I make this review, I would watch the movie twice, which I already did. I'm probably going to watch it tonight again. But anyway, I digress. So he watches that, and then he watches the next one. Pool party. This other family is having a great time in the pool party. Next thing you know, 4 women are chained up. 4 people are tied on the tanning lawn bed chairs thingy. The ones that they're there. If you go to a hotel and there's a pool and like you see those chairs that you can lay back in, someone had them taped up, and a cinder block under each one, and they were drowned. They were dragged into the pool, and they were drowned. They drowned to death, or they drowned. And so that one was freaky. I was like, oh, this is so creepy. And he stops watching it after that one. He doesn't watch the other one for quite a while. So he starts getting information, and he starts wondering what and all is going to happen, what happened in this house. And one night things start going really bad. And when things start going really bad, his son Trevor is having night terrors, which are very bad dreams that he doesn't. They're like bad dreams, but you wake up screaming. And they haven't fully moved in yet, so they still have boxes. And when he goes in there, his son comes out and he's screaming, and they pick him up and they take him outside. And he wakes up and he's like, why am I outside? And then he goes back. They get him back to get bed. And the next morning, it's like, you were in a box. I was in a box? I don't remember that. That's not the strangest place we found you. Don't talk about the time you found me in the dryer. We're talking about the time Trevor peed in the dryer. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. And so they're saying, and then like they're fighting how they don't want to go to school, how they miss their old school and stuff like that. Oh, the son is kind of like me. When I was that age, and I still do this, I listen to music as loud as I possibly can. And the dad's one was like, hey, your headphones are going to go dead. And his daughter is kind of a little artist. Like, you know, she paints on the walls. She paints on her walls. And he's like, hey, kiddo, why aren't you unpacking? Because I don't want to. Well, why don't you want to? Because I don't want to live here. I don't want to move here. Well, we had to move here. He's like, no, you wanted to move here. No, we had to move here. Daddy's new book is here. So I'm guessing it's kind of like whenever you're a geologist or a volcanologist or something like that, you have to move around. You have to move around to get your new story. So he's like, okay, if Daddy's new book doesn't sell as good as the last one, I'll take us back home. So like, you promise? I promise. So then they start unpacking, and then they have that dinner that I told you about. Well, he watches the other films, and he re-watches them. And when he re-watches every one, he notices this figure. No, when he watches the pool one, he notices this figure. White face, black eyes. Kind of like Spider-Man's glasses eyes, but just pitch black. And long, black, greasy hair. And a creepy look. I mean, I was like, holy crap, that's creepy. And so he pauses the video, and he looks at the camera, and he messes around with his laptop after when he looks at it the first time, the film burns, and he gets on the internet and how to edit it. And when he edits it, he gets his camera and records it and prints a picture and has a picture of him. Well, then there's the other one. Oh yeah, I forgot about another video. The other video he watches is about regular. It's another one about a family, and it cuts to the kid. There's a symbol on the wall. It's the same symbol that was on the trunk. And he's going through the house, and the mom and dad are taped up, and they're drugged, obviously. And so, like, the person cuts their throat and also kills a boy's throat. But then he turns his head, and he's starting to drink. He's starting to chug whiskey. because he didn't want to watch it. Hey, I wouldn't want to watch a little kid being slapped, have his cutthroat either. I wouldn't want to watch that. That would make me just sad. So then he notices that there's arguments going on, and the son is saying to his mom, I wasn't thinking, I know more than you. Go to your room. Wait, what happened? Your son is acting out again. What did he do? He took a permanent marker and he drew a picture on the blackboard of a family hanging on a tree. And he said, that's what your new book is based on. Okay, yes. No, we're not living in a house with murder victims. So the videos that he is watching, it's starting to affect his kid. It's affecting his son. It's affecting his son. It's affecting the whole family, except for the wife. The wife isn't touched on it. That's because he keeps it from her. Well, he calls the cops after he goes into the attic and he falls through the attic, and they have to call the paramedics and they call the police, and the policeman's like, okay, let's go look at this hole. So he puts the light up and they're looking, and so after he's talking to the policeman's wanting to be his person that he puts in the book, saying I couldn't have done it without the help of yada yada so and so. And so so after that, you know, he watches the tape. He watches how he was recorded and he recorded himself, and it looks like someone pushed him through the wall, pushed him through the ceiling. And you know, as he keeps figuring things out, and you know, he keeps asking the cop, you know, give me information about some murders that happened, where they happened, the addresses, all I know is the address. I don't know where they were. And the last one that he watches, oh man, the last video that he watched, oh, it scares the living crap out of me. He's watching it, and it's his family. It's raining, and next thing you know, a lawnmower starts up, and as the person starts to run over the people, you hear a scream. I was like, what the heck was that? Man, I tell you, this scared the living crap out of me. Whew, man. Oh boy, I tell you something that really creeped me out. When he goes back and looks at the film where someone is killing the family that are taped to the beds, he does something with his computer, and it makes the camera look up, and he gets a reflection of this creature, and he prints it, and he has it on his computer. When he's trying to figure things out, when he's not looking, the photo of the creature actually turns and looks at him when he's not looking. And then he turns around, you know, the photo goes back to the way it was. Kind of like how in the old Scooby-Doo episodes, whenever they would be walking through old houses and everything, the eyes in the picture would go up and you would see someone staring at them. And you would turn around and it'd be normal. But anyway, back to the movie. He starts turning to whiskey and he's drinking and he's staying up late, and apparently he likes his coffee weird or something. I don't know. The daughter is delivering him his coffee, and the cop gives him all the information, and he starts putting things together, but he can't figure it out really. And so when he starts watching the movies again, and he still hasn't got a book, he still hasn't started writing the book, and so you know it's affecting his mind, and oh, and the picture, and one of the pictures that he takes of the family who's being hung in the trees, he takes a picture and he looks at the picture and there's the creature standing in the bushes, and it's at nighttime, and he moves the picture and the person's there right in person. I was like, holy crap! And then it freaks him out, and he's like, okay, there is no way I'm seeing this. There is no way I'm seeing this. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so freaking creepy. And so he goes outside, and his kid is in the bushes. And his kid is in the bushes, and it's like, it's worse than it ever was before. We'll call the doctor in the morning, just get him back to bed. I left something outside. He goes outside, and there's a dog barking at him. Like, it's a big, big dog. I was like, okay, when do we start bringing in hellhounds? But it's just a normal dog. When he's staring at the dog, there's a bunch of dead kids staring behind him. I was like, oh my gosh. And what he left outside was a bat and a flashlight, and he's going outside, and he's getting the bat, and he's talking to the wife, and the wife is like, you're different. What's going on? I don't like what's going on. You're different. The kids are different. You want to know why I'm different? Because I have stumbled onto something that I've never stumbled on before. I'm going to get everything back. He's wanting to give him and his family back what they had before. He's wanting to give the money back. He's wanting everything that they had back. Oh, gosh. I tell you, every time I was watching this movie, after the reviews I watched, I thought this movie was great. And I was wanting to rent it, and I rented it, and I was like, okay, here we go. I'm probably not going to be able to sleep for the next couple nights. But I digress. So, down the hatch. I say this movie was so good. It's one of the best horror films I have ever seen. One of the best. It's like The Woman in Black, but just scarier. And when you first see the creature, it's only in the reflections. It's in the background of the painting, of the pictures and of the videos and stuff. But as he's trying to go to sleep, the projector starts turning on by itself, and it's showing the picture. It's showing the video. I keep saying picture. Never mind. But I say this movie was so freaky, and how they did everything. There's one when he's working and the power goes out. Oh man, that messes with him a lot. When he's walking through the house one night and he's getting really, really scared, and I was getting really, really scared. The dead children are running around him, and as it looks like he's getting ready to turn around and hit somebody, when he turns around, the kids are gone, and they're just running around the house, freaking him out. And so he keeps hearing a banging upstairs in the attic, and he goes up the steps. And when he goes up the steps, he falls. No, not falls to the ceiling. He looks up in the attic, and he sees the dead kids watching the film again. And then he sees the creature. And when he sees the creature stares at him, then all of them stare, and next thing you know, the creature disappears, and bang, it appears in his face, and he falls down, and he's screaming. He's like, And so then, he has a baseball bat and a flashlight, and he locks everything. He locks everything up after what happened with this kid, and he falls asleep on the couch with a baseball bat and a flashlight. And then the cop comes over, and they're talking about, I wouldn't sleep in this house. If this was the last house on earth, I wouldn't sleep in this house at all. And he's like, do you believe in that supernatural stuff? He's like, yeah, I believe it. I believe in that. And he's like, sir, I know when there's pattern. I know when there's I see a connected murder when I see one. And so he's like, okay, well, let me show you all this. And he tells them about the tapes, and he tells them everything he's been seeing. And they're like, well, who's that person? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. When did the drowning happen? That's what I need you to find out. So then he says, okay, there's a person at this university. He knows more about the stuff, and he contacts him, and he's like, "Hello, thank you for getting back to me quick. You know, they don't FaceTime, they Skype, and or they FaceTime, I guess. It was on the laptop, it wasn't on the phone. But he's talking about like how he's like, yeah, when I seen the pictures that you were looking at, and that the pictures that you sent me, I knew what you were dealing with, the case you were doing. Wait, how'd you know about this? Because something like this happened before." And the creature that you're seeing is a creature that goes all the way back to Babylonian times. Bagul, the eater of children. I was like, what the heck? And they said apparently he's a pagan god, that the only way he can survive is by feeding on children's souls. And you know what he does is he manipulates and tricks the children into doing his deeds, and he slowly eats their souls when there's nothing left in their bodies, just for him to take over and possess them. And he said so, and how people would worship them would be sacrifices or eating children. So you're saying that someone in this house ate a child? Well, that's what the story goes by. And he's like, well, I'll send you some more stuff when I know anything, and thank you for getting back to me. You're welcome. He's like, I'll get some more information for you. So after that, things start getting worse, and the jump scares work in this. They work phenomenal. I tell you, this movie was, oh my gosh. Whew! Him and his wife have an argument because when he's checking to see if someone is messing with the projector, this happens twice. And he goes around, he looks, and he notices his daughter is asleep because he had to take her to the bathroom once. So he's thinking, okay, she's up, I gotta take her again. So, but when he closes the door, a dead girl is staring at his daughter in the face. And she is freaked out, and she goes like, and then when he's just doing his work, his wife yells his name, Ellison. What's going on? Your daughter apparently didn't think that there was enough room in her room for her painting. We talked about this. We had very difficult times accepting that you want to paint in your room. What was the one rule? Never paint in the hallway. Yeah, I didn't want to paint in it. I was going to paint it in my room, but she didn't want it because that used to be her brother's room. Who? Stephanie. Who's Stephanie? The girl who lived here. The girl that Daddy's book's about. So then his wife and him get in an argument about how he's writing a book about how people died and everything. So you're telling me that we are living in a house where people died? No, it's not like we're sleeping in a bed where someone was ganked. Wait, so this didn't happen? No. It happened in our backyard. I was like, no, it's completely different. It's completely different. We're not living in the house that this happened. It happened in the backyard. So his wife's like, oh, come on, I'm not stupid. Don't blame this on me. And she's like, you promised me. No, you said, please tell me we are not living in the house of a murder victim. Oh, don't give me that crap. You know what I meant. And so they're going back and forth. And he's like, this is my legacy. I'm going to get us back everything, so I don't care about that. Yes, you do. We all do. This book isn't about us. It's about you. Let me tell you something. Our marriage is your destination, is your meaning in life. Us, our marriage, your children are your legacy, not the book. So then, the girl apologizes. She's like, did I get Daddy in trouble? She's like, no, Daddy got himself in trouble. So then she goes downstairs, and he's been watching videos lately because how his wife's been talking to him. He's been watching videos and making sure that what happened the last time doesn't happen again. And in the first interview, he says, the interview asked him, does it matter, which do you have to say is better? The fact that you got the justice that you thought these people deserved, or that your book is number one on the shelf? And he's like, the justice. I would cut my hands off. I would never write a book just for money. I would not write a book just for the money. And so he keeps watching those videos, and he keeps reminding himself about how he used to be and how he wants to be like that again. And that's why he's doing it. He's doing it. He says that he has a thing for injustice and about how people get murdered and no one could figure out stuff. And they said, well, you stumbled onto something that the cops overlooked, and you helped them catch somebody. That's true. That is what he did. But like I said in the beginning of the review, his second or third book got a criminal release out of prison. And and she wakes him up and she's like, time for bed. And when he's laying in bed, all of a sudden he hears a projector going off, but it's not downstairs. And it's going through his head like the film, like how it's black and white and like how it looks like camera film. It was going through his head. I was like, okay, what does this have to do? Oh, the attic stairs are down. And of course, what I told you about earlier, he climbs up and he sees the children watching it, and then they turn around and the demon Bagul comes to real life and makes him fall down the stairs, and he's freaking out, and he takes the camera, he takes the film, he throws it in the fire. I was like, burn this sucker! Burn it! Burn it! Get rid of it once and for all! And he actually does that. And when he does it, his wife comes out there, and she's like, what's the matter? It's like, we have to leave. What are you talking about? What happened? You were right. Pack the kids. Get the kids. Pack up some stuff. And let's go home. Now! He's wanting to get them away from that place as far as possible. And as fast as possible. So they get out of the house and they're going down the street, and she's like, honey, slow down. I just want to get to the highway. I want to put as much miles between us and this town as possible. And he's speeding. Of course, he gets caught by the cop. He gets caught by the cop at the beginning of the movie. He's like, Sheriff, it's awful it's awful late for you to be going this fast. So I was just taking your advice, which was leave this town, never come back. I hope that when your book comes out, you don't write about that you were bullied away, because if you're being bullied, let me know and I will take care of it. He's like, there's not going to be no book. Well, I don't see any reason to have your autograph. So he gives him a speeding ticket, but he says, look, just keep it under 60 miles an hour till you get to the interstate, and let it be someone else's problem. He's like, thank you, sir. So and his wife's like, did you really mean that about the book? Yeah. Book? Yeah. You promised? Yes. So then, they move back into their old house, and the brother's playing the music, and the wife and daughter are putting things back. And he's setting his office back up again. And so the detective guy keeps calling him, and he ignores the calls because he moved, so he doesn't care anymore. He's thinking, okay, I'm done. I got rid of the info. I got rid of what I've seen. I'm done. Of course, so, I was saying to myself, don't leave. It's going to follow you. It's gonna follow you. And then when he goes up to the attic, he notices that the box is back. Yeah. Like how in movies, like whenever they would get rid of something and then it would just reappear? Yeah, that happened. And he trashes it, he throws it all over the ground, then he notices there's an envelope that says extended cut. So he's fixing the films, and the cop calls him again. He's like, "Do you realize what time it is?" "Yeah, I know. I've been trying to call you all day." "Well, what's the problem?" "The problem is you moved. I don't see how that's a problem." He's like, "Look, I started figuring things out, and all the people, all the murders, they all lived in all the addresses. They all lived in the same house that you lived in. All 5 of them, every single one. So all these families lived in the same house, got out, and left, but they died in different places. The murder where that one murder happened, all these murders happened after when they lived in the same house. But when they moved away, they got killed. And so before he watches the extended cut, he gets pictures from the doctor, and he calls Professor, and the professor's like, "I'm sorry it took so long for me to get back to you." He's like, "No one has ever done this much research on Bagul, and it's hard." He's like, "What are you talking about?" "Well, superstition is the reason why they quit researching him." "Okay, well, so what do you have to tell me?" "Well, the early Christians believed that Bagul lived in the images themselves, and whenever you watched the images, he would actually take possession of the children or people and make them do crazy things. And there's even legend that he would kidnap the children and take them into the films." And so it was like, "Well, what if you destroyed it?" What are you talking about?" "Like in the stories, yes. What if you destroyed them with a fire?" He's like, "What kind of book are you writing?" "I don't know. I don't even know if I have a book anymore. Thank you for your time." So, he's drinking his coffee, and his daughter even wrote on a note, "Good night, Daddy." And so, he's drinking his coffee. He doesn't think anything of it. And after he watches the films again, all the children were the murders. The first murder, Stephanie, was the murder. She hung her family and swung on her dad's leg. Oh yeah, that drawing that his daughter drew, it was a dead girl on a tire swing. Like Stephanie was on a tire swing before she died. Or before she went crazy, or before she was possessed, or something like that. But then we go to the next murder. It was the people's son who burned them alive. It was the boy who drowned his mother or sisters or whatever in the water. It was the missing kids. The kids who went missing were the murderers. They were possessed by the ghoul. And so, after he watches, he realizes what's going on, and then he drinks his last bit of his coffee, and he passes out. Or he doesn't really pass out, but he's drugged. So he starts foaming at the mouth, and he looks, and there's his daughter. She's like, "I'm glad you made the movies longer." So then he's all taped up, and then his daughter, his son, his wife, and him are all taped up in the fire. His daughter comes with an axe, and she's like, "Don't worry, Daddy. I'll make you famous again." She cuts him and his wife and her brother and kills them. And she's recording it. The kids were recording every murder. He had on his notes, who was recording this, who's doing this, who is Mr. Boogie. Well, we know now that Mr. Boogie is Bagul. And so she's right. Oh, and this other thing that he finds when he goes back up to the attic the second time, and he gets scared when they do one of the jump scares, which works. He finds like this little board, like like a board game top, and in that is every detail of how the family was murdered, like the hangings, the drownings, the burning, the cutting. So she is under Bagul's possession, drawing her story, drawing her murder, and then she looks up, and then all those dead kids are looking and telling her to look a different way. Then they turn their heads like this, and she turns her head, and then there's Bagul. All the ghost children run in this room. Oh, here's something I forgot. Like how she likes to draw on walls? Okay, I don't know if she went back to the old house and drew in blood or something like that, but their whole entire house is covered. The walls are covered with blood, drawings of blood. It's their blood, and so then Bagul picks her up and carries her into the film. Movie's over. I did not expect that ending. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so freaking awesome. This was much scarier than Insidious. Okay, like when you first see Bagul, yeah, he looks a little blurry, he looks a little silly. You don't think anything of it. But then, oh my gosh, when you learn what he does, what he can do, oh my gosh, it makes you want to pee yourself. I mean, this movie was great. The story was great. It made sense. The characters, you felt sorry for what happened to these people. You was wondering, okay, what's this guy going to do? What's this book going to be about? Is he going to get to finish the book? he doesn't get to finish the book after he tells his wife that he's going to not write it. But I tell you, this was creepy. This was scarier than Insidious. The villain in Insidious looked like Darth Maul on drugs that had the abilities of Spider-Man, and Insidious was just about astral projection. And when it was trying to be scary, it didn't work. Now, when I watched it the first time, yeah, I heard the rumors. It was supposed to scare me, so I got scared. But after watching it, I was like, it's not as bad as I thought it was. This was more scary. This was scarier. If this had came out earlier, oh my gosh, Insidious wouldn't have even scared me. This movie was good. This movie was scary. This is exactly, if you want a true great horror film that does not rely on gore, on special effects, on nudity, or it just focuses on the story and it focuses on the right scares. Oh, and one thing that they use really good in this movie is the darkness. The film it's all filmed in the dark. And you know, there's a bunch of people that are going to say, turn the lights on. But you know what? It's at nighttime. He's working at night in his office. He's watching those tapes, and even when the power goes out. But this all works perfectly. I recommend this movie. I'm giving this movie a 5-star rating. If you want to check it out, I say you do. That's what I got. Another great review movie. Check this out. Subscribe. Leave comments below. Thank you, guys.